Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Katie Weaver Show. This is Katie. I'm your host. I'm so happy to be here. If you are listening live, it is the 7th of January at 11 a.m. Pacific time. If you're listening to an archive or a replay, I would also like to welcome you to the show. I want to let you know that we are over in the chat room. You can find it by heading over to 12radio.com. That's number2radio.com. Click on the chat button and you'll be redirected into the Facebook chat. And from there, you can see my banner at the top of the page. Or if you would rather, you can watch this as a live stream from the chat room. So it is at this point, it is Animal Communication Day. It's the first show of the month. It's actually the first show of the year. So pretty fun. So I would like to invite you to join us. Now, if you want to come into the chat and share your four-leggeds with me, or two-leggeds, or slithery friends, or winged ones, or finned ones, or whatever, I would love it. I think it's fun in the show that people show up and start putting pictures of their fur babies in the chat room for us all to see and enjoy. There's nothing better than being able to see everybody else's little loves. So if you want to post them in there, that would be great. I also want to let you know that if you are listening to an archive or a replay, if you would rather watch the live stream, you can find it over on YouTube at Domestic Mystic. So there's so many ways to connect. Now, I want to I have quite a few things to talk about today, but I think let's go ahead and start with Luminous. So I'm going to put a link in the chat room for you here. Most of you know that I do publish a weekly magazine with a bunch of my very talented colleagues over at 12Listen, and I want to share with you that. So you can find it, and 12Radio as well, but don't want to leave anyone out. You can find it over at katie-weaver.com under the Katie's Magazine link, or you can find it right here in the chat room. I just put a link up, so let's take a peek. So I called this edition the Energy Matters edition because we're going to talk about it today, about your energy, how it matters, why it matters. And a little later in the show, we are going to do a group healing, a healing circle, both for Australia and for Puerto Rico. And we'll talk about that and why here in just a few minutes. So my musings this week, I just put a meme up to pray for Australia. I am so heartsick about what's happening with the bushfires over there, all of the animals that have been killed. It is horrific. It truly is. And it's something that we're going to work on together today, but we need to keep our finger on totally. Also, there was a horrible oil spill in the Galapagos, which really is upsetting. The Galapagos Islands are a place that I have felt so drawn to my entire life, and I was so sick to see that there was an oil spill that was affecting all of the ancient beings on that island, or that grouping of islands. Really, really unacceptable. It's all unacceptable, but we'll talk about it. So I try not to be too much of a bad news bearer, but I think there's going to be some of that today, but we're going to flip the switch on it too and do some work and do what we can to help. So there is that. All right. Also, in my musings this week, I had shared a link to my 12-month reading. I've already done quite a few of them, but I want to make sure you guys see it. So this is my 12-month video reading. It is, you purchase it over at 12Listen as an email reading, and then in the next several days, I will do the reading, video myself doing it, and then send you the link so that you have it to watch for the whole year. So it's about 40 minutes long-ish, 30 to 40 minutes long. I'm pulling cards from the deck of my choice, just, depending on what my intuition tells me to do. And I think that, and then, of course, a positive affirmation for the month, a crystal, all the good stuff. Lots of suggestions to help you, accomplish your goals and stay on a good path for 2020. So again, I put a link in the chat room if you're interested in that, but you can also find it over under my profile under Katie Weaver over at 12 Listen. So of course, that's always the way to connect if you would like a reading or a healing or whatever I have to offer you, whatever I can do to help. So there you go. All righty. So let's keep moving. A few things I wanted to show you or point out in Luminous. Kai brings us our animal guidance every month. And she brought the elephant this month, and I just thought that was so fitting and beautiful. And of course, as always with Kai, it is a combination of good information as well as spirituality and kind of shamanistic advice. So good. I loved what she said about the elephant. I've always been drawn to the elephant as well. And so I loved it. So I hope you guys take a minute to read her article. The tip I shared this week is 3 quick ways to shift your energy. Sometimes you need that, right? Sometimes you're in a place where you are not vibing. Maybe you've got some upsetting news, or you are just in a bad mood, or you just don't feel right. Or sometimes for me, it's something as small as reading something online that really perturbs me or upsets me. And then I feel, burned out. I suddenly feel not burned out, burned. I feel like I can't shake it. It's just stuck all over me, right? So I really like the idea of being able to shift your energy quickly. So I have a couple of suggestions for you. One is that you run your hands under cold water for 60 seconds. This is a really useful technique. What it does is it helps to shock your system to reset your attitude, to ground you. It just gives you kind of a instant hard reset. It works really well. Another suggestion is to turn the radio up. Music is a great tool. Turn on things that help to do what you need. If it's to help you, amp up, or to help you to shift or to get fired up, whatever it is, there's a song for that. And the other is to take a walk. Take a walk around the block, through your yard, around your office, whatever, but just walking helps to reset your energy and shift you into a better place. So all possibilities if you just need a moment to shift. The other one is to eat. I didn't include that because that becomes a bad habit, right? But sometimes eating something helps you to shift into a better energy quickly. So there is that, of course. All right. And then I did want to take a second to point out we have a brand new contributor. Well, she's not brand new, but she's back. And so I was so excited that Jamie Dawn has come back into Luminous. Also, by the way, if you're looking at Luminous with me, all new art this month. We get new art every month, but I love this art. I looked for hours to decide what does January get? Is it a winter theme? Is it something different? This is what I chose. I absolutely love all of the background art. Julie wrote a little article about hope, and I thought it was so sweet and so useful to think about and consider what she had to say. She ended it with a poem from Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without words and never stops at all. I thought that was lovely. I really enjoyed Julie's article, and I thought it was well timed. We need more hope for sure. Loved it. All right, so Jamie Dawn is back in Luminous. Very excited about it. She's bringing us her weekly video. So you can just pop right into Luminous and click on it and watch it right from there. So she brought to us this week, she said it's a big week. Cancer full moon, Capricorn made reality, and so much more. Which, by the way, on this show, right at the full moon, we typically do we pull a card from the Fairy Tale Tarot and read the fairy tale. I'm going to wait and do that next week because there was so much I felt like we needed to focus on this week in regards to animal work, and it is the Animal Communication Show. So if you're wondering, next week we will do the Fairy Tale Tarot for the full moon. All right, Reader's Corner had a contribution this week by Robin S. She wrote a poem. She said, "The teacup, delicate and refined, held more than the roses and pearls placed inside. For each rose petal and each pearl held memories of days long past, of laughter and good times, and of sadness and grief. What they held were memories of life in all her wonders and glories." She added, "As we say adieu to 2019 and look forward to new adventures in 2020, we take the cup out of the cupboard, dust it off, and say a little prayer. May your teacup be filled with all of the beautiful and wondrous things of happy memories and more to come. Many, many blessings of love and light, peace and joy. Namaste." From Robin. So Robin, thank you so much for contributing to Luminous. I loved it. I want to remind you guys that I do have Reader's Corner, where if you have a piece of art or a poem or a writing or a blog or an editorial or anything that you'd like to add to Luminous, I would love to consider it for an addition to our publication. So thank you so much, Robin, for that. So there you go. That is Luminous this week. Lots of good stuff. And so I hope that you guys have a chance to sit down and read through it and find something that speaks to your soul. I suspect you will. I sure always do. I also want to let you know that I have a sale over at One to Listen on my 15-minute time-based session. So it's at a deeply reduced rate, which makes me so happy to be able to offer that to you guys. So you can look for that. It is an eclipse sale. You can find it in my, what am I trying to say? You can find that in my profile over at One to Listen. And I would love to talk to you guys if there's anything that I can do to help or to contribute. So I always try to share with you guys when we have a markdown like that because it's helpful. So there you go. All righty. Okay, just peeking through the chats here. So again, it is Animal Communication Day. So if you have an animal question for me or an animal you'd like me to tune into, let's work on it. And of course, we're going to do some work together. So that's what's going on. So in case you haven't heard, though I would imagine that most of you have, there is an enormous bushfire burning in Australia that is gobbling up an unfathomable amount of acreage and is wiping out wildlife at an absolutely alarming rate. I read yesterday that over 1 billion animals have been affected and that more than 250,000 animals have been killed. That is astonishing. It makes me ill. We're talking about koalas. We are talking about kangaroos. We're talking about so many others. The koalas are the ones that everybody's like, rushing to the aid of. And the reason why is because the fire burns faster than the koalas can travel. Koalas are fairly slow animals. And by the time they recognize that they need to move on, it's too late. There are a lot of volunteers showing up to help try to rescue the koalas and get as many moved out as possible and provide first aid to all of the injured ones, which is an astonishing number as well. I also read that so many people are currently, women that knit, have been knitting. There was a request for mittens for hands and feet covers for injured koalas, and that a lot of knitters have been knitting as fast as they can go to send as many of these little mittens over as possible. The idea that koalas could actually be wiped off the planet because of something like this is really sad. And of course, it's not just koalas. We can't get stuck there. There's so many animals that are affected. There are so many people that are affected. It is a horrific thing. So we're going to do a healing circle today for Australia, for all of the animals and the people, and for Mother Earth, of course. I also want to include in that, there's a lot going on the planet right now, but the two things that have been in my heart today are, of course, Australia, but also Puerto Rico. And this is something you guys may not have heard in the news yet. There hasn't been a whole lot of chatter about it. Other things have probably just taken the forefront, I suppose. But Puerto Rico is shaking a lot. They are having a lot of earthquakes. They had some very serious ones in the night that have done some serious damage. Most of the island is currently without water, and it's really a concern. And of course, this is an island that was seriously, seriously damaged by a hurricane just 2 years ago. And now this huge cluster of earthquakes is very concerning, and the people that live there are getting scared, and they are deeply affected by what's happening right now. And so, the two things that I would like us to focus on today in our healing work are Puerto Rico and Australia. One thing that I want to focus on in Australia, I'm going to throw some things out there and you guys decide what your own focus will be. Okay. I think this is the best way to work collectively. You can just focus on the whole basket if you want to. If you would like to specialize on something specific, please do. On a certain animal, great. On a certain situation, great. One of the things that I've been thinking about and doing some of my own personal work on is on the volunteers, on asking the koalas to be responsive to the volunteers that are trying to help and letting them know that they are safe with these people. B, asking that the volunteers be very deeply intuitively led to the animals that need their help so that they're finding those that are needing them. And that C, they are also safe because so many people are putting themselves into harm's way in order to help other animal or other beings. And obviously that is that's a really beautiful and powerful thing, but they deserve our protection as well. Also, all of the first responders, all of the firefighters that are there trying to help, and all of the other first responders, all of the people offering first aid and food and services, along any of those lines. The indigenous people that are affected, that worries me deeply. And of course, Mother Earth and the effect that fires like this are having on her. Those are some things that my thought process has gone to. Obviously, I want to urge you to work in any direction that you feel drawn and called to go. So, those are all things that are coming up for me. On Puerto Rico, the island herself, stabilizing the ley lines and the fault lines, the people, and of course, the safety of everyone, including all of the animals in Puerto Rico and all of the wildlife in the ocean, all of the ocean life that could be affected by these earthquakes. Obviously, there's something happening on the ocean floor that's causing this. And so all of those things come up for me with Puerto Rico. So that's where my thought process has gone. But again, I want to urge you to really focus, hone in on the thing or the things that come to you the most to specialize in if you would like to. Okay, so here's how this works. I'm going to lead us in a guided imagery meditation to take you to a place where we can all gather together to work together. And so all I'm going to ask you to do is close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and follow along with me. When we get to our place to do our work, some of you are trained in some kind of energy modality, and maybe you'll employ that, right? Maybe you'll want to do Reiki or quantum touch or, whatever you do. Maybe you'll feel compelled to pray or to send energy from your heart or to chant or to speak aloud. Whatever you feel like doing is the right thing for you to do. Okay? That's one thing that I can't guide you in so much because you're not me. So we'll all do our collective work together in the way that we work. All right. So I'm going to ask you now to close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths to get grounded and centered here with me. Okay. Now I would like you to picture yourself walking through the forest. You're walking along a forest path. There are trees on either side. You're walking on a path that is well worn. There are pine needles strewn about. It's warm but not hot. The sun is shining overhead. This feels like a peaceful and calm place. As you walk along the path, I would like you to allow yourself to get deeper and deeper into your consciousness with every step you take. In just a moment, I'm going to be counting to 10. As I do so, you will walk further and further along the path, getting deeper and deeper into your spirit with every step you take. When I get to 10, you will be stepping out into a clearing. And within this clearing, you will see many others gathering there to do collective work together for the good of the planet and those on it. You are feeling comfortable and confident about your ability to enter this group, that you can get here, that you do belong here. So starting now with 1, walking along the path, 2, 3, getting deeper and deeper into your spirit with every step you take, 4, 5, halfway there now, 6, 7, getting so much closer. You can smell the pine gum on the trees. You can hear the needles crunching under your feet. 8, so much closer now. 9, nearing the clearing. You can now see the end of the path where it opens. And 10, step out now into the clearing. It is grassy, there are wildflowers, and you can see others stepping out of the forest as well from their own path, walking out into the center. Continue moving forward into this group. You will see people that you know and people that you don't know. You will see people that your soul knows. You're comfortable and confident. You know that you belong here, and you understand that your influence, your frequency, your intentions, and your prayers matter. As we gather now into our group, let us take hands, forming a large circle. At this time, I will ask you to place your focus on Puerto Rico, on the island, on the people, on the animals, on the sea life, on the ley lines there, on the fault lines there, on the plates to slow the shaking, to protect all those that could be affected. I will also ask you to put your attention on Australia, on the fires, asking for calm weather and rain, perhaps asking for safety for all of the wildlife, for the first responders, for all of those providing aid and services, for all of the volunteers, for all of the animals, and of course for the indigenous people as well. And of course for Mother Earth in Australia, in Puerto Rico, and of course for all of the earth to be at peace, to be safe. So at this time, I will leave you to do your work. Perhaps you will pray. Perhaps you will send love from your heart or perform another kind of energy work. Perhaps you will chant or sing or speak aloud. The choice is yours. Follow your intuition. We are one. We are working collectively with our individual gifts and skills. We are so powerful when we work together. Our work matters. Just another moment now. Very good. Now, asking you to draw your consciousness back, still in our circle, powerful witnesses of the work that we have just done. I would like you to say your goodbyes now, knowing that you can return to this place anytime you choose, simply by walking up the path and stepping into the clearing. This is your place to come for healing. You may come here to request healing for yourself or anyone else that you love, or to do collective work such as this. In just a moment, I'm going to be counting forward from 1 to 5. As I do so, you will be back on the path, and with every step you take, you'll get lighter and lighter and closer to your waking consciousness. You will remember this place and how to come back to it anytime you choose. So I will ask you now to walk out of the clearing and head back to the path. Stepping back onto the path now. 1, 2, 3, almost there. 4, much, much lighter. And 5. Back into your waking consciousness now. Good. Very good. That was a really powerful group and a powerful piece of work. At one point, I felt like the collective of the earth sighed, like a sigh of relief. I think releasing some tension, releasing some pain. Thank you for being willing to be a part of that work with me and helping me to continue to do what we can to help others. Okay. And if you want to share in the chat room how you experienced that or what you worked on or anything else that you would like to add to it, please do. Okay. Here we go. So taking a look at the chat room, it is Animal Communication Day. Very fitting at my house. We had a situation on Sunday with my little Chihuahua, Skippy. You guys have heard me talk about Skippy lots of times. He's 15. He's an old guy, and I've had Skippy, since he was a puppy. And he's had seizures for probably the last 5 years. We didn't start medicating them till about 3 years ago. And he has one maybe every 6 months or so. It's not very often. They're always in the night, and they're always, a little upsetting and a little shocking as seizures are, but they're usually something that we can roll with, Usually a little extra med or sometimes nothing, just, holding him and helping him through it is all it takes. And I do use CBD oil with him as well as a pharmaceutical. But on Sunday morning, he woke up having a seizure. And that seizure turned into a cluster of seizures that went on for an hour and a half, which is terrifying. And I gave him all of the medicine that we had to give, that we've been instructed to give from the vet. I called the vet. Our vet is pretty amazing that way and actually has you can call him on his cell phone, which is amazing on after hours. So I called him and he said, you did everything I would have done. Let's just keep an eye on it. Well, the seizures slowed, but they didn't stop. He had many, many more mini seizures throughout the day and some big ones too, but some seizures that make him pace. If you've ever seen this in animals, they have a seizure and then they need to pace for a while. Uh, Sometimes it's actually an extension of the seizure. Some of them do it and some don't. Some seizures cause it and some don't. And in Skip, sometimes a seizure makes him pace and sometimes it doesn't. He had a lot of minis that he would shake for less than 30 seconds and then immediately be conscious and look at me like, what the hell just happened? But it was a long and upsetting day, a scary day. And yet, by evening, by 10, he was done. And he didn't seize at all in the night. Yesterday, we got up and he was acted fine, tired and drugged. And he's always a little not himself for a few days after something like this. And he wasn't, kind of. He was in there, but he almost acts like he's forgotten some things, lost some things, and he acts like he can't really see. And he already has bad cataracts, so he already can't see a lot, but it'll be even worse, for a few days. And he's tippy. So, like, I put him out to potty, and I noticed that he tried to, do the tripod pee, and he tipped over, unfortunately. But we went to the vet yesterday afternoon. He examined him. He did labs. Everything's fine. So we increased his meds a little bit. We went from once daily to a twice daily, and all is well. But this four-legged mama, I'll tell you, I know you guys can imagine, it was a hard day. He had easily 20 seizures, and again, a lot of them were minis that just he shakes for just a minute and it's over. But hard day. So, but I employed everything I had, right? Between energy work and herbs or CBD and his medicine and talking to him, petting him, reassuring him, and taking breaks. Sometimes and having someone else, one of the kids or Scott, hold him and deal for a little while. All of those things combined, here we are. So it was kind of a mixed bag from the vet. I kind of wish he did have an answer because there was no reason for that to happen. But with seizures, that's kind of the way it is. But I don't know if he would have had an answer as to why that happened. Maybe we could prevent it in the future. But I think the answer simply is that we had cut back on his medication a long time ago because initially he was on 2 seizure meds a day in the morning and at night, but he only seizes at night and they wipe him out. And so I had gone, does he really need this much? So I had cut it in half, and that's worked for the last 2 years, and not given him a med during the day, but we're going to have to go back to the day med. So maybe that is the answer. He just needed a little increase in medication. But anyway, he again last night slept beautifully. He's doing really well today. He's acted much, much more like himself. It's been really hard on our other Chihuahua, Rico. Rico's a little bit younger than Skippy, and he is a very nervous Chihuahua. He's a Chihuahua. Skip isn't a nervous Chihuahua, but Rico is. He's very he's typical of the breed that way, and this is so upsetting for him. So he also hasn't been himself. There's been a lot of extra cuddles and snacks and energy work for him as well, partly because his buddy isn't himself. So all of the wrestling, playing, licking, cuddling stuff that those two do all day long, he has not had for a couple of days because Skip's not himself. And so I've worked a lot with Rico on that as well. But it made me think a lot about how often when one of our animals is going through something, the profound effect it has on others in the house, and that's something we always need to remember and be mindful of and be very aware of. Also, it also made me think about grief in animals and grief because I know that someday we're going to be saying goodbye to this boy. And I really hope it's a long, long time away. but I can be real enough to know that at some point we'll be saying goodbye, like we do with all of our beloved four-leggeds. And I've thought a lot about Rico and how hard on him that will be. And just watching him go through this series of seizures with Skippy has been kind of gut-wrenching. So it's just a reminder to me and to all of you that when one of our animals is struggling, other pets in the house are very affected as well. And we need to be very mindful to them and for them so that we can take good care of others. So, and take care of everyone in the house. It also reminds me that when there are changes happening, when there are things happening that affect all of the four-leggeds in the house, we need to be mindful of making sure that they know what's happening and that they understand. So it's always something that is worth exploring and thinking about yet again. So yeah, so thank you for your comments and for the love. Really, oh, yeah. Also, my college kids went back yesterday. They both got in their cars, loaded up, and headed back to school. So that's made my house a little bit quieter. We had such a great visit. One of the last things we did, the girls and I have been trying to find a time to get a little tattoo together. The rule at our house is that when you're 17, you can get your first tattoo, that's approved by mom and dad and within reason. And Mars turned 17 in November. She has been waiting. She wanted to do something with me and with Mateus. So we finally found time and we got little sunflowers. She just wanted something small. Interestingly, when Matea turned 17, she got a tattoo that covers her entire right calf that is of a female figure in a hot air balloon, and all of the balloon is a million butterflies. It was a huge piece. She sat for 8 hours to have that piece put down, and in 2 sessions. But not Mars. She didn't want something nearly that big, which was completely fine. Matea shocked me. But so we went together last week and we sat together and we got little sunflowers. So I'll show you mine in the chat. I put mine on my hand, which turned out to be such a great idea. It's not something I thought about. It's hard to show you in the chat without bending it weird, but anyway, in the live stream. I'm not good. There you go. You can see it. Anyhow, I can't turn my hand the right direction. Anyway, Mars wanted hers little. She wanted it inside of her left ankle because she likes exactly the way it looks with her pants rolled up one cuff and her ankle bracelet and her Vans. To be 17 and have that much focus on fashion and to look that good. So there you go. Anyway, so that was fun to get to do that with the girls. And I know tattoos are a mixed conversation. Not everybody has them or agrees with them, and not everybody lets their kids get them, and we do. So there you go. Anyway, we did have a great break together, though. It was really nice to be able to have that time with them, and now they're back, and it's also nice to get back to my house, get my house back, get my studio back. I had to completely put away my resin pouring studio while they were home because it was in someone's bedroom, and now I have made a bigger, better space in the other bedroom so that I can have a better studio, so, it's all good. Okay. All righty. Well, thanks, you guys. I appreciate all of the love. I know many of you have been there as well. Okay, Jane has got a picture of Miss Cleopatra here. This is a kitty. She's a calico with big green eyes. Beautiful girl. Cleopatra has an in-home vet appointment to possibly help her transition this coming Saturday. She's got lung cancer and stopped eating a few weeks ago. Healing vibes to this polydactyl salty girl, please. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Jane. Darn it. Let me tune in with her. I remember you posted her on your Facebook page a few days ago, and I tuned into her then. She's got so much sass and attitude. I think another cat might have given up the fight on this a while ago, but not this lady. But it's more than just in her lungs, I think. I feel like yeah, Her stomach really feels weird to me, Jane. Maybe it's because she hasn't been eating, but yeah, darn it. Well, it wouldn't be the wrong decision to help her transition because she is suffering. I think she's suffering more than she's even able to emote. I think some of her grouchy behavior is suffering at this point, but gosh darn it. I'm so sorry to her family. She is quite the cat. She's got personality to spare, but yeah, her body it's pretty rough. Well, shoot. So much love to her and to her family as well, darn it. Yeah. Okay. And Jane also shared Buddha. So these aren't Jane's pets. They are ones that she is connected to because she works with animals. And so you guys know she's not burying her clan. These are probably client animals that she's worked with. So this is Buddha. She said Buddha returned to pure positive energy on Saturday, healing vibes to his people and siblings. Rocket. Okay, in San Fran. All right, let's tune into Buddha. What a cute dog, by the way. To Rocket. Yeah. So Buddha's people are devastated, but Rocket, these two have spent a lot of time together when other people weren't home. Jane, they're going to need to adjust their schedules, do whatever they can to keep Rocket from spending too much time home alone right now because this is an enormous transition. So wrapping Rocket up in a lot of love and just reminding him that Buddha's going to be around and asking Buddha to be sure that he is making himself seen and known to Rocket so that they can stay connected. Darn it. I'm sorry. Is it just me, or does it seem like a lot of animals are transitioning right now? I have seen so much of it lately, and maybe I'm just projecting, I don't know, but I've seen a lot of it lately, and it's made me wonder. I've seen that before where it seems like there's a lot of animals transitioning, you know, besides the ones like in Australia that are, obviously transitioning in mass droves. Okay, taking a look. Oh, Laura said she's home resting with the flu. Laura, I am so sorry to hear that. Sending so much love to you. So I hope that you can get all of the rest you need and get feeling better ASAP. All righty. Oh, thank you, Sid. She said she binged on all of the Unchurches this weekend. Thank you. I love them. They are amazing. So she's talking about a little broadcast that I do on Sunday mornings. This Sunday morning, ironically, Sid, I didn't do it because I had a little doggy that was shaken. And I just couldn't bring myself to put him down. And yeah, I wasn't in the right mindset for it, of course, which is fine. But usually on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific, on my fan page here on Facebook, the Katie Weaver Show, or Katie Weaver Domestic Mystic, and over at YouTube under Domestic Mystic, I do a 20-minute Sunday morning broadcast. We call it Unchurch because it's not church, but it is meant to uplift and edify and just give you something to think about and feel good about on your Sunday morning. So I do those every single week, unless something comes up like Skippy Jones, but typically I do. So thank you, Sid, for that. Tara shared a picture of her kitty Raven. She said, Happy New Year from the brat cat, Raven. Raven does what she wants when she wants. That's pretty obvious. Okay. Laura said, Can you check in with Mika? She didn't want to eat breakfast today, nausea or otherwise. She's been doing great on herbs for the past 3 weeks, but not today. Maybe she picked up on my flu. She doesn't feel good. Her stomach is way off. I don't think she picked up on your flu, however, but I would keep an eye on that, Laura, and hopefully later today we can see her eat and drink and get back on. But yeah, her tummy hurts. I kind of wondered if it is the herbs and maybe she just needed a minute break from them. I mean, obviously, if this keeps up, you'll take her to the vet, but yeah, her stomach hurts. It's this isn't a dog that turns down a meal. All right. However, Laura, I will do a little work on her behalf in her tummy, and I know that you'll keep an eye on it and get treatment if she needs it. And let's, of course, make sure she's drinking no matter what. Okay. Maureen says her daughter left to head back to school yesterday as well, and her dog is not happy. Also, on Thursday, her son finalizes his enlistment into the U.S. Navy. Well, good on him. That's awesome. But let's check in with Ivy. Darn it. Yesterday, everybody was low around here, all of our animals, with the kids leaving and Skip being sick. And I hear you, Maureen. I get that. All right, let's tune in with Miss Ivy. Yeah, Ivy loves all of you, but she has such a special place in her heart for Megan. I'm just going to strengthen that little thread between the two of them so that Ivy can feel Megan a little more. And I'm going to ask you to ask Megan to check in with Ivy a little more regularly if she could. So there is a thread, a silver thread from Megan's heart to Ivy's. And all Megan has to do is just envision that thread, kind of like a telephone wire, and send love to Ivy, send messages to Ivy, let her know she's thinking about her and she loves her. That really helps. Ivy, yeah, she misses her a lot. So I'm going to show Ivy that she can do that too. Good. And then I'm going to ask Ivy to just sidle a little closer to you and know that you'll be there no matter what. And just strengthen the bond that you have to her so that she has a person, which she does in you. Darn it, poor Ivy girl. Okay. Pamela said, I am going back to work next week after being home for 2 years. Wow. That's a big step, Pamela. Good for you. I'm really worried about my fur baby Reese's. She is so attached to me, especially after my sweetie Spunky passed over. I'm really concerned that she's going to feel abandoned. Any suggestions? Also, is Spunky still around me? Let's work on your first question first. So I want to tune into Reese's. Yeah, she is going to be pretty lonely. So the technique that I just explained to Maureen for Megan, I'm going to also ask you to do the same thing. When you're at work, that you tune into her through that heart connection and send her love. And for you, it's a little different, Pamela. You need to show her coming home. So show her pictures of you. So animals think in a series of pictures, and humans do too. We just do it a little differently than they do because they think about what's right now, and we think about consequences. So we think in a little different pattern, but it's really good with animals that are missing you if you can show them images of you coming home. So Pamela, however it usually looks for you, if you come in the front door or the garage door, you walk in, you put down your things, you give her some love, maybe you give her a treat, whatever your normal routine is for coming home, or what you think it's going to look like, of course, since there isn't a normal routine, we're just forming one, right? So I'm going to just ask you to show her what that's going to look like. And then once you start work, every day, a couple of times, especially if you start thinking about her, did you guys know that a lot of times when you're out and about, you're at work, you're traveling, whatever, and you start thinking, your thoughts wander to one of your fur babies, it's because they're thinking about you. They are putting in the call and you're answering it. And so, especially when that happens, Pamela, but otherwise as well, just really tune into her, show her what you're doing. That's important. When you're not at home, they always wonder why. Wouldn't you rather be there? Show her what you're doing and then show her you coming home so that she knows you'll be home soon. I think, honey, she's going to be okay. It will definitely be a little transition. I think the first couple of weeks are going to be a little tougher for her, but I think she's going to be okay. And I did show her that that's going to be happening and that it's because you need to be able to go to work and that you'll be back and she'll be okay. So I wanted to take a look at your second question about Spunky as well. Spunky is all around you, but I'm going to ask Spunky to stay home a little with Reese's and make herself known as well so that she can not be quite as alone and pick up on that energy as well. But yeah, you got Spunky all over you. When you are feeling your lowest, I think, Pamela, especially with health, when you're feeling pretty crappy, Spunky really works hard to boost you up. I feel like that happened, when Spunky was alive, and I think it's still happening, even though Spunky has transitioned. Okay. Sid said, please ask my dog Elliot why he acts so super nervous and uncomfortable riding in his usual spot in the minivan. He pants, drools, and trembles. It seems to start after we get rolling. It's been going on for almost 2 months. Going into a store with me seems to diminish the shivering. He used to be so happy and relaxed riding in the car was his favorite thing. Let's tune into Elliot, Sid. That's what I thought. I think he has actually developed a little bit of car sickness. It's not fear so much as his tummy hurts. So he's responding in a very physical way. You can get some homeopathics for dogs for car sickness. You also might consider rescue remedy. And of course, ask your vet about it. But I am going to show him the drooling is that's stomach. So, but he's showing me too that his belly hurts. Isn't that funny? He didn't have motion sickness until recently, but he changed, you know. So I'm going to just ground him a little bit in the car and remind him that he's safe. And he's kind of throwing that back at me that he knows he's safe. That's not what this is. Okay. I would highly recommend that you seek out a homeopathic for car rides for him. Poor kid. He does want to go though. He really does. He loves to get to go. That's what's kind of sad about it, right? He really loves to go. It's just he's having a little trouble with it. Okay. Terry said, I am working. Oh, if we're working with animals today, I'd love a reading on my cat, Smokey. He's so destructive lately, climbing counters, shelves, dressers, you name it, he climbs it. He broke one of my Santas. My son said I should start letting him go outside. Can you have a chat with him? I'm tired of his biting and scratching. He's ruined all of my stools at the table. Anything you'd find, I'd be so grateful. I'm with your sons, actually, Terry. He is super bored. I have always felt like Smokey felt like had a very feral nature to him, and he is bored as hell in the house. I don't think that letting him out means he wouldn't come back. I also feel like he's a pretty savvy cat that can keep himself safe, but I'm with your sons on it. I feel like that's what he needs is to go outside. However, I am going to show him that he's got to stop disrespecting the house. All right. I didn't quit. You just ended me. You ended me in the middle of a reading. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. We got broken into a little there. No problem. All right. So, but Terry, I'm going to ask you to consider maybe just doing that, letting him go out and come and go a little bit. I feel like you might be happier in there because he's really giving you a strong directive here. Okay, guys, I've got to go, but very quickly, Laurie, I just want to tell you that Lola is so close to you. She loves you with all of her heart as well. She would like to come back in physical form when you're ready to get a kitten again and you want to bring her back. She's ready to come back into your life in a very physical way. So think about that, consider it, and we can work on that together. I want to thank you all so much for being here. I want to thank you for listening. Of course, I'll be over at 1-2-Listen for the rest of the day and evening if there's anything I can help you with. Thank you all so very much. You've been listening to The Katie Weaver Show. Here on Once You Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world. Hold on.